G'day guys and welcome back to Cookie's Critters. So I get asked all the time, what do I need to set up a bearded dragon? So in this video we're going to discuss all things reptile enclosure sizes, heating and lighting and substrate. So do us a favour, show us some love, like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already done so, please turn on those post notifications so you don't miss a video, and we will see you in a minute. Okay guys, so there's a few different ways that we can keep a bearded dragon, and we'll discuss the pros and cons for each. First we have a glass enclosure, one of these. Next we have a timber or a melamine enclosure, which is one of these ones. Starting with timber and glass enclosures. So both of these have absolute bare minimum enclosure sizes, and they are as follows: 90 centimeters long, 45 centimeters deep, and 60 centimeters tall. Just remember guys, these are minimum. If you do have the luxury of space, please go bigger. These enclosure sizes allow for a bearded dragon to move freely within their enclosure and do what's called thermoregulation. So thermoregulation is a natural way that a bearded dragon will move from a high heat to a low heat area and vice versa. That way they can self-regulate their body temperature. Yeah, see, he agrees. The main reason that people choose glass enclosures is for aesthetics. This way they can be viewed from all angles. So the downside to glass is heat retention. If you live in a cold climate area or if your house is cold, heating a glass enclosure can be more difficult and more costly. So I love timber enclosures for many reasons. One is they retain their heat very well. Two, they are completely customizable to any shape and size. Three, they are stackable. And fourth, they are easier to clean, well, in my opinion anyway. Okay, so the downside for a timber enclosure is that if they do get wet, then the timber is prone to swelling and rotting, which will eventually shorten the longevity of the enclosure. The other reason is that because it is timber on 5 sides, the only viewing angle is directly from the front. Guys, comment below what enclosure type you use and why. So bearded dragons need heating and UVB. They also need a day cycle and a night cycle.
Nighttime, daytime, nighttime, daytime.
With the day cycle, I give my babies a 14-hour day cycle and a 10-hour night cycle. And with my adults, like this guy here, I give him a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. But what does this mean? Number one, no light at night, not even the red globes. This can be dangerous and damaging to their eyesight. 2, at nighttime, they do need a temperature drop. For my babies, I control the temperature to low to mid 20s, and for the adults, I provide no heat at all. Heat can be provided from clear basking lights, ceramic heat emitters, and heat mats, or a combination of all three. UVB lights are to replicate the sun's natural UVB, which is the ultraviolet B waves. These lights emit very little heat and therefore should not be relied on to heat your enclosure. In a minute, we're going to talk about the difference between the compact screw type and the long fluoro tube type. But why do these guys need UVB? So bearded dragons need UVB so they can synthesize the calcium that we supplement on their food into vitamin D3, which will improve the quality of their little bones. Bearded dragons need a high UVB output globe. Whether that's a screw or a tube type, I always recommend at least a UVB 10, but higher is even better. If you can get UVB 15, Perfect. Compact screw type bulbs, as the name indicates, are small globes and therefore should only be used inside small enclosures. Downside is that they do have a lower UVB output to the fluoro tube type. The UVB tubes have a higher output than the compact screw type, and as they're longer, they also cover a greater surface floor area. I always aim to have at least 2/3 of the enclosure covered by a UVB tube line. I also do recommend that this globe is inside the enclosure, as anything in between the globe and the dragon itself will diminish the output of the UVB. Bearded dragons come from a hot, arid environment, and therefore their enclosure temperatures must replicate what they have in the wild. So for babies, I aim for the 38 to 42 degrees Celsius mark, and for adults, I aim for around about 35 to 38 degrees. The reason why we need heat is to promote appetite, digestion, and therefore growth. So the best way to control heat is with a thermostat, one of these guys here. Along with the hot side, dragons also need a cooler side, and I always aim for around 26, 27 degrees. This allows the dragon to move from the hot side to the cool side, that whole thermoregulation that I was talking about before. So my little wingman was too preoccupied by the ladies behind, so he had to be put away. So the next thing we're going to talk about is substrate. There are many opinions as to what is the best substrate, and I'm going to list the ones below. 1, newspaper. 2, butcher's paper. 3, artificial grass and artificial sand mats. 4, vinyl tiles. 5, recycled paper litter. And of course, 6, sand. There is a lot of debate about using sand as a substrate. If you are going to use sand as a substrate, please do not use the white reptile sand from pet stores, as this is high in calcium, it clumps when it gets wet, and it increases the risk of impaction. Here at Cookies Critters, we use a combination of vinyl tile, and for the females, we give them a sand laying box. In a later video, we will discuss each of these substrates in further detail, but for now, drop a comment below what substrate you use and why. With the right setup, feeding, supplementation and care, your beardie is going to have a happy and healthy life.
Oh, Hercules, Hercules.
If you haven't already done so, check out my other socials, Facebook at Cookies Critters with a Z, Instagram at Cookies Critters with an S. Once again guys, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, turn on those post notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.